Making medieval books couldn't be easier. For this tutorial, you're going to need the primary source is brown tissue paper. You can get this at any stationery store or a store that you can pick up gifts and stuff. A styrofoam dish, some white glue, some water, a nice soft brush, a junk book that is being thrown away. I highly recommend getting something that's more than an inch thick, and a glue gun, and my favorite of all colors in my acrylic collection is a burnt umber number 624. Let's make this book happen. Let's get rocking and rolling here. Today I'm taking out the first sheet of tissue paper. I've got a big glop of my glue over here on my styrofoam dish, and I've got my water over here. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be creating a slurry of glue and water. Basically, you want to create a mixture of about 1:1, but we don't want to lose the consistency of the glue. Now, the great part about this is you're going to start coating the cover of this book, okay? And the sides and everything else you're going to wrap up with your tissue paper. So let me do this and let me show you what it's going to look like. Alright, so I got the surface of my book done. You're going to take the tissue paper and you're going to lay that right on top. What's going to happen now is this is going to start to wrinkle and buckle. It's going to create all kinds of creases, but we want to start creating that. Just painting the sides over here using our glue mixture and putting enough on there so we can create a back on this. Okay, so once you get it all slopped up again, just layer that tissue paper right on there. We're going to do this for about 4 or 5 coats until we have the image of the book completely disappear. So let's do that and let's see how this looks. Now, just to let you know, we're going to be doing like this again. We can keep adding another layer of glue, another layer of tissue paper, another layer of glue, another layer of tissue paper. Watch it build. Check out the effect after a layer of 4 different layers of tissue paper put on here. Now I put a larger sheet on top of here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it under. So we're going to start creating and hiding the material that's inside and creating the cover. And basically what you're going to do is once you get enough tissue paper on there and you start seeing the effects, let this dry, build on it again, and let's see what this is going to look like after it dries. Creases, lines, folds, dents, you want all of that. I'm just softening the tissue paper, folding it under. Anything you need, just keep adding. More glue, water. It's a fast process. It doesn't take long, and it fuses beautifully. Very important to share with this. When you're doing this process, if you don't have gloves on, you will have stained hands. That's number 1. This comes off very easily with just soap and water. Number 2 is, how do you dry this? Well, you need to set this book up like this and open it slightly so it stands up, and that's how it's going to dry. Let's let this go for 24 hours and see what it looks like. And once your book is dry, it's been 24 hours later, look at this, guys. Great. You're going to get your hot glue gun out and you are going to create some lines. Now, any type of book from this era usually had some type of raised lines where they have the sewed marks, where they would sew the pieces of paper together. And I'm going to create about 6 of them here, if I can do that. Next. This matters, especially when it's sitting on the shelf. You can see I'm just kind of measuring that out, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. You can do this several times if it's not raised enough for you. If you really wanted to put a raised pattern on your book, that's possible too, but you can see those lines are really going to matter. So let's let this dry and go on. Look, bam! Dried, cured, it's on there. Those look like stitches on there. We're going right back into the water and glue again. We got our tissue paper set up. Guess what we're going to be doing? We are now applying our next layer. So let's start on that. layer after layer until our book becomes like leather. Let's do that. Okay, now this one element is very important. I've got even my spine all glued up there. We want to apply one sheet over that spine. And the reason is create the binding. With your fingers, tap that down and make the impressions are in the book. Look at this. If it's need to, just wet it down. This looks really cool on a bookshelf. Then later, we're going to do some darkening and filling in of these areas and some aging. All right, let's add more layers. It's been 24 hours since our second coating of our leather, and the binding looks awesome. Now we're going to be going into the aging process. Today I'm using a burnt umber number 624, which is one of my best agents for aging, and we are going to be creating a very thin slurry, and we're going to go over all of the pieces. Now I got to point out before we just slop it on here, you are going to be very carefully going into, let's see, put some more paint on there, going in here and not touching the raised areas of the binding. You're going to be just doing parts that are below the bindings, recessed areas. Okay. This is very important. Don't worry if you have too much on there, you can always take some off. But it's very important to do this. Okay, now we're going to use our paper towel. Okay, with our paper towel, we're going to mop up the excess. Creating the edge binding and what it's going to look like. You want to just highlight that a bit more. Always add more. If you think it's too much, use your paper towel and take it off. But the binding is very important. The spine of the book is what everyone's going to see first. Okay, now let's do the coating. What we're doing now is we are adding a completely new layer of aging to our leather. Let that dry and repeat. Now while that paint is tacking up, we're going to do one more technique right now. We're going to be doing the pages. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to go to this side over here. And we're going to be using the same slurry, yet greatly diluted. You can do this up in layers, as many layers as you like. The 624 burnt umber, or any burnt umber you are using of your choice, is probably the best prop maker's aging tool we have out there. I've loved this color. I've used it on skulls, I've used it on bones, I've used it on plastics, I've used it on everything. It just antiques everything nicely. Look at that. Props like these just look cool. Check out our final piece. Check out the leather. The binding on the side came out awesome. Pages are very well stained and aged. This is the medieval quality that we were looking for. Now, if you're going to do a thematic photo shoot or going to put this in, say, like a play or performance or something, I would highly recommend making 4 or 5 different types of books, different thicknesses, different widths, different heights, anything you can get your hands on, and then put them together. Other than that, that is our tutorial. Check it out. Medievally and gothically yours, Professor M.